And good evening, everybody. Welcome back to episode 144 of New York Red Bulls Discussion Group, the podcast. Garry Redmond, one of your hosts here. Your hosts, Nick Lianos and Mark Coates, will be with you very shortly. Well, what a weekend, right? We had to deal, of course, with New York Red Bull 2 demolishing, and then on Saturday, which witnessed the demolishing of our own. We're going to be talking about it, which is a recap of New York Red Bulls and LA Galaxy, where the Red Bulls scored a touchdown on the defending champs. Of course, this is going to be a 2-game week. First up on Wednesday, New York Red Bulls head off to Nashville FC over in Geodis Park. And then, the main event is going to go over to Flushing, New York, where the first stage of the Hudson River Derby as the New York Red Bulls take on New York City FC. And, of course, our special guest coming up this month, of course, Anthony Merced of AJM Sports FC, who comes in every month to drop in his monthly New York Red Bulls download. And he's got a lot to discuss about a certain player that was a European player that's not coming. And this is the gentleman who called it last month. More on that later. Plus, of course, any updates and reviews on New Jersey, New York, Gotham FC. They played on Sunday. And, of course, the New York Red Bulls, too. And they went to Belson Stadium, and somehow they lost the plot. Now, as always, you can catch the recording, which is happening right now, on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We have it on x.com. And, of course, our home from the very beginning, Spotify.com. Now, if you happen to miss a live show, which is happening right now, all of the episodes are uploaded the very next day for your watching and viewing pleasure. And we always strive to make this show one of the best ones as far as soccer content on and off on cyberspace. So forth. If you have any questions or comments about our guests, the podcast, or anything else in particular, please email us at, send us an email at rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. Once again, that is rbdgthepodcast@gmail.com. Now, before we do any further, Andrew Green, remember him? He basically showed up 2 episodes ago, and he was doing a special walk for charity for his son. This man walked over 120 miles from whence he came all the way to Tottenham Stadium, and he completed the walk. Congratulations to my man, Andrew. You're a legend as far as I'm concerned, and you did that walk very well. We hope to be talking to him about it pretty soon. And, of course, you know what they say. We won the weekend very quietly. While all this was going on, we were doing a fireworks display of goals that took place at Sports Illustrated Stadium. We won, City lost. So, as they say, hang on for one moment, please. Let me just kill the music. Thank you. All right. So, as they say, we won the weekend, as you know. So, as is customary here, of course, here at the show, we blow the horn. Now, my cohorts asked us to do it twice because not only we won the weekend, but we somehow scored 7 goals against the champs. I don't even know how that happened for all intents and purposes, but hey, as they say, let's do that. Let's blow that horn if you don't mind. And one more time. Okay. So, with that said, since we're all in a very celebratory mood, before we go to the show on Wednesday, we have Nick Lianos, the Wizard, and, of course, the coach, Mark Coates. Guys, I don't know. Usually you will find something to complain about. Not so on Saturday. Right?
Not on Saturday.
No.
You get a goal bonanza. Everyone's going. You get a goal. I get a goal. You get a goal. They get a goal.
There was basically fireworks display of goals. And, of course, the captain, he had a 4-point night. 4-point night, 2 goals, 2 assists. It's been a while since that happened, since what's a certain player in the Metro Stars history, and a Putifo, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But before a single goal was kicked, what was your very thought? I mean, we talked about this a little bit, right, leading up to the match. You had some thoughts of trepidation. Again, I mean, okay, there was expectation, right? Let's just put it very simply. Everyone's calling the LA Galaxy a good team this season. That's being kind. Okay, they are not having a good year. But I can't remember too many teams winning a championship in this league and then go donut for 12 to start the season. But maybe their fans don't care because they got a chip. But that's not a great way to defend the championship, is that, Mark?
No, it's interesting that the team that we played in the Open Cup was the Colorado Switchbacks. They won the USL Championship Cup, and the announcers were talking in that game about having the title hangover.
Mm-hmm.
They said that
that's
Colorado,
real.
Yeah, Colorado's gotten off to a slow start themselves, and people were like worried. Oh, we're going to have a tough time. They played us well in that game, but I look at LA and I go, what happened here? I mean, that was just they can't play defense, they can't score, and their coach is losing his mind. I mean, it's just I'm watching the sideline and I'm like, it's like once you reach a certain point, like when it got to 4-0, I think they were just like, all right, whatever,
Right.
Yeah, like you could hope at 2-0, you get a goal, you're back in it. Even at 3-0, I mean, it's still possible you could do something, but there was just I don't know what's going on. I felt bad. I watched the replay twice because I want to pick up on a couple things, and I went through. I cannot believe how many times Apple TV was showing Yoshida, the center back for LA, just shaking his head like he just could not figure out why are we this bad. And I have my scarf that I love, my Viking Army scarf. Why are we so much fun? Well, LA's asking themselves, why do we suck so bad? I mean, because you get trounced 7-0. It's just there's just no explanation for it.
None.
I don't know what do you fix first. I don't think they even know what to do.
To Mark's point, Nick. I mean, you look at the LA Galaxy. That's on paper, right? And they got ballers up and down. This is essentially the same crew, minus one guy that left. Okay, but you still had Gabriel Peck. You still had Joseph Paintsill. You still had Ricky Pooch. Now, Ricky Pooch, well, you ain't gonna see that dude until after the All-Star break, maybe, until his ACL from his knee, is okay for him to run, let alone walk. I think he's doing fine now. But Joseph Paintsill was MIA. Gabriel Peck was MIA. Okay. So essentially, but even still, you have quality, right? So what happened? So I mean, how do you have a team that is loaded supposedly, and you see them give up after goal number 3 in the first half? I mean, I'm looking at the fans to my right, Nick, and they were like, "What is this?" I mean,
when you look at the team, you expect more from Marco Reus,
right?
To be better. He has not been good for them. At 35, since he's come over, he's got 3 goals on them for them. He hasn't been anything spectacular for them. Christian Ramirez, who they got this year, I think he had the 2 best chances for the night, and he shanked them both. And he was like, okay. And after the second shank, he was like, okay, I'm done. I didn't want to be out there anymore, especially when it's 3-0. Matthew Berry, he had 2 chances too, and he shanked them both. And after that, they were like, okay, we're done. We could go home. They had no
even the like Royce.
After each goal we scored, they had a great chance the other side.
Yeah,
and then
Royce had a great chance, but he did nothing with it. And then he gets another open look, and he put it about 20 rows back. I mean, like they didn't have the quality. We'll get to our quality in a minute, but they just didn't have anything for us last night. Even the shots that were close, Cornell just ate it up.
Yeah, Cornell was on his game too. He cleaned up every mistake that we had, and he was really like, okay, that what happened in LA is never going to happen again. And he just was like, you guys got 2 on me.
We're going to talk about that, guys. We're going to talk about that in about a minute because there were some glaring mistakes that I still saw. Okay. Yes. Throughout their game, and a lot of people, focusing on the win. But as we go through the highlights, ladies and gentlemen, the whole party began 7 minutes in. Here we go.
Stalled. The rematch is here 5 months later. The Galaxy in white, Red Bulls in their red kit. Underway tonight. Glad to have you with us at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Ayla for Edelman. Choupo-Moting for the Red Bulls. Gets it back from Forsberg. Eric Choupo-Moting goes wide, fires, and shot goal!
Forsberg and Choupo-Moting, two players that know each other so well, even though they haven't played together for so long. But then it's all about Choupo-Moting. Can he get that yard? Can he find that yard to get the shot? And he gets the back.
For Valencia. Valencia. Flat stays down. Here's Forsberg. Fire and goal!
He is the sweeper, obviously, of the back three, but he's playing Forsberg on. Forsberg has so much time and space. It's incredible. But if you look at the distance between the midfield of LA Galaxy.
Outed. Surrounded by red kids. Red Bulls win it back. In transition they come. Here's Edel Forsberg. Plays it ahead. Sofo sends it wide.
You look at Sofo. Forsberg once again picks the ball up in so much space. Plays the ball then to Sofo, who just puts it the wrong side of the post. Give credit to McCarthy though. And he's playing the perfect 10 position. He's just sitting in between the back three and the midfield.
Give it away to Sofo and a stop made by McCarthy.
You just need to take a little step back. Do not let it get any worse. You just see it's a poor back pass.
Recognizing the urgency of the moment here. Royce swings that ball out. Sadio gives it a go. Saved by Coronel. Royce again on the outswinger. This time, Ayla. Sean Nealis. Carbajo able to play that ahead. Sofo will get on this. Kick saved by McCarthy. Flag stayed down for Mohamed Sofo. Played in. Forsberg. Choupo-Moting. Oh, what a finish! Second of the game. Eric Choupo-Moting. He's flying. The Red Bulls are up by 3.
Once again, Forsberg, we've just spoken about his key contributions to the game. Well, here's another one. It's an assist for Choupo-Moting. And Red Bulls must be thinking to themselves.
Forsberg fires, scores! Blistering free kick. The Red Bull captain having a night. And the lead is 4.
Whether it's assists, whether it's goals, whether it's world-class strikes like this, it doesn't matter. Everything he touches this game turns to gold. Absolutely brilliant. Yes, you can look at the wall and you can say that they jump, but they put their heads down. But take nothing away from the free kick. You see?
Julian Alde. Cuevas ahead. Royce, save made by Coronel. That's one of their best chances of the night.
And I think that will be part of the thinking. Sandro Schwartz, can they get the confidence even higher with those two maybe getting more goals and assists?
Given away by McCarthy. Here's Yengor, who's just come on. Yengor, this ball flying far post, and it's in.
You see the clearance isn't great. And it just comes to Yengor. He does all the hard work. And then Harper just has a presence of mind.
Won or lost consecutive games this year. Bogots with 4 into the attack for Red Bull. Take it here. Yengor fires and scores.
Once again, LA Galaxy, they're a team that were 5-0 down. And look how open they are. It's 4 versus 3 at the back. And eventually...
Carbajo on the restart. Still under duress, and this deflects in! Oh my goodness!
But it's exactly what they got in injury time. And you see Yamane, and this is where I'm talking about overthinking. Overthinking all the time. He's going back to the goal.
7-0 is your final score. It's their largest margin of victory ever at their home ground.
Well, it was basically a How can I say it? It was a record-breaking night. Basically, the Red Bulls, uh, there's a lot, of course, that Forsberg. He scored his fourth MLS goal, the 13th and 14th of his career. The Swedish international tallied his seventh career goal, a multiple contribution match for the Red Bulls. Forsberg tallied his third and fourth assists of the season, his eighth and ninth of his career. And now Forsberg joined Anthony Diavola. Remember him back in July 1997 as the only players in franchise history to produce multiple goals and multiple assists in a single match. And that is how he won match day per matchman of the week. Valencia, he tallied his fifth assist of the season, which ranks first among MLS defenders and tied for seventh among MLS players. He's recorded assists, boys, in an assist in 3 straight MLS matches. So would you say he's definitely earning that spot, or did the season have a little more seasoning?
I don't know. I guess we've gone back and forth. I think he's starting to settle in, I think, is basically what it comes down to. We had talked about the first 10 games being important. And I think for Omar, he's had the opportunity to play and start almost every game over the run of the season so far. And I think he's getting better as he goes along. I saw a lot of him at Red Bull too, and I was impressed with his on and off the ball movements. Yeah, I mean, he's not a ball watcher, so he's involved. He's engaged for the full 90. I think he succumbed to a little bit of the, maybe, I don't want to say stage fright, but playing in front of 1,000 people at MSU is different than playing at 15, 18, 20,000 at the Illustrated. It's different. So he's gotten accustomed to it. I think he's made that adjustment, and we're seeing a much better performance from him.
There's more. There's a lot more, of course.
Dude, I have notes for days on this game.
Yep.
It was it's incredible the things that came out of this game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a word we could use, but I won't use it because we want to stay our PG rating. But this was just, yeah. Remember what you did to us? It might not mean the same, but I'm sure a lot of the fans at home and at the stadium felt the same way.
Well, the coach said it wasn't. Coach said it wasn't revenge. So, but Carlos Coronel.
Good.
There's more. Carlos Coronel recorded his 5th shutout this season, 40th of his MLS career. His 5 shutouts ranked tied for 2nd in MLS. The Red Bulls have tallied 97 shutouts to Sports Illustrated Stadium since 2010, which is the most in Major League Soccer during that time span. Harper scored his first MLS goal of the season, his first since July 29th. 2024 against DC United. Harper's got 10 career MLS goals. Yengar recorded his 2nd MLS goal of the season, 4th of his career. Victor Bogarts, congratulations. He got his first career assist in that match. Now, 3 goals in the first half was the most for New York since, guess when? 2022 of August 2nd. Against the Colorado Rapids. The 7 goals in the match were tied for the most goals scored in a single match in franchise history. The last coming against who? NYCFC on May 21st, 2016.
Right.
It was also the most goals scored by the Red Bulls at a home match. Wow. I mean,
yeah, this was the best match ever.
Yeah, this was one for the
Red Bull
books.
Arena. Yeah.
I mean, Nick, there's so many superlatives that we could discuss about this game when it was all said and done. However, I'm sure that you were sitting there watching it all, hoping that maybe you didn't whip out your red marker, your famous red marker, but you did on a couple. Go ahead, man. I know there were some mistakes out there.
There was a couple of mistakes defending wise because we just, after each goal, we gave LA a great opportunity to score and get right back into the game. And Coronel had to bail them out, either by bad marking, bad decision-making, which was, I think they just let off the gas for a couple of seconds, you lose concentration, and you almost put it in your own net. That's how we played. Sofo was the only, you really can't blame Sofo for saying he had the bad game, but he had 2 great chances. He's got to bury those chances. He did it in Colorado. He didn't do it on Saturday night. But he made he made LA's life miserable when he was running around in front of them, chasing them down, running around. Look at the back pass. He almost scored off the back pass. Yeah, that's what. Even the
Yeah, that was an incredible play. I mean,
Of course,
you showed his speed right there.
Oh yeah, I mean he's so quick. That's the thing. You really got to keep an eye on Sofo because if you lead him off with just a smidge, right, he gone, and no one's catching him. He gone. I mean that's the type of speed that makes defenders and goalkeepers go, ooh, okay, we got a problem. I mean that's that type of speed.
You saw it in Colorado in the Cup game when he retrieved that ball that was thrown in by Hack into the box. He saw it. He washed it down. He got the ball, retrieved it. There's 3 guys around him, and he goes, "Okay, I can dribble around 2 of these guys and get the shot off." And that's something you cannot teach.
No.
That is something you can't teach.
Yeah, he did that a lot of Red Bulls too. Yeah, he did a lot of Red Bulls too. Remember, he just danced around guys that looked like they were standing still, and even though they were literally with him step by step, I mean, I kind of like that kid. I was like, oh man, this guy's got pace. If he gets up in the first 2 and really lets loose the juice, he's going to be pretty much hard to catch. So they were in 11th place, and folks were like losing their hair left and right. Okay, that win leapfrogged them now into 7th. So they're right now in playoff position and starting off on the road, pretty much like they were last season, if you remember when things were finished. And before we give out game balls to everybody, welcome back, Daniel Edelman. I mean, you talk about a very calming presence in the midfield. Can we talk a little bit about that? Okay, how much of a difference it was him being out there. Mark, you first.
I think it's an understatement. I mean, last year we saw it with Emil when he was out, and we went on a long stretch of winless games. And this was sort of a similar situation in the back, because as much as you want to see Stroud step up, he's not Edelman, and that's going to be something we're going to discuss later in the show. But seeing Edelman and Carballo playing off each other, I mean, he is a difference maker, and you think one guy, one guy, because he's the one doing all that dirty work in the midfield. He's keeping it in front of them. He's keeping everybody in check. Nobody can get a break on us because he's in the right position. He's doing the right things, and it's great seeing him back. Obviously, I got Mr. Harper's jersey behind me. It's great seeing him back. And then I got that purple guy on the shelf. I don't know if everybody noticed. All right?
I noticed.
All right? I borrowed that from my son. All right. I know his real name is Gengar, but I'm sorry. To me, he's always going to be Gengar. He's always going to be that crazy purple guy. But watching our subs come on and play so well, all right, I was surprised, like I said, at just what a complete overall effort. Like, yeah, there were a couple of, oops moments, but surprisingly enough for our team, they didn't lead to goals for LA. And I mean, maybe because
it was LA.
Yeah, maybe, but Cornell was on his game, and this is what AJ played a really good game in Colorado. We haven't even talked about the Open Cup yet. We're almost halfway.
That's the best.
That was it. And you honked the horn twice, because out of 16 MLS sides, there was only one MLS side that did not get through.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we played them Saturday.
Well, Lisa had a comment here. It's like she had a question. She said, so much of Edelman being back, and how much was the Galaxy being terrible? Nick, I'm going to let you answer that question on that one.
He played a big role on slowing them down too, because when the game was slowed down in spurts, they couldn't get anything going forward. When it was open, they had more chances. But when the game was slowed down and we were controlling the pace and when it was our style, there was nothing going on. He had everything pretty much locked down. And him and Carballo have found that chemistry that works with his team.
And we're hoping that Caballo can stick around or at least get it, give him a deal. Like, okay, look, we're going to sign a contract. And he's something that's a pairing I like to see long term,
That's a pairing that's worked. Like Amaya and Edelman worked well, especially in the second, in the second half of the Struber year and the Lassane year, when they both figured it out together. Like Amaya would play a little deeper, and Edelman would be a little further up on the field, and allow Edelman just to wreck everything. Amaya clean up the ball and go forward with it. They figured this out. I think Caballo and Edelman have that same chemistry, that they both figured it out. They could both play off each other. Caballo can freelance a little more because he knows exactly where Edelman is going to be to wreck up everything. In case anything gets a little too far pushed forward, he has Edelman there. And Duncan played a very solid game too. Duncan was there too, keeping everything in check in front of him. There's a little leakage in the left side, but because Valencia was pushing the ball way up the field, and they were giving him the space, so he was taking it.
He was taking it, right? I mean, you can't blame Valencia for that. He's like, "Oh, you're going to give me that space? I'll take it. Fine."
Look what he led to in that second goal. He gave him the space, and he just cut inside. And he was like, "Oh, look, there's a Forsberg all alone. Here you go."
It was, it was funny. We touched on that, but LA just was not really challenging us either. I mean, there was one point, I think I counted at least 4 times that Sean Nealis was just basically dribbling the ball up from the box.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, Mark.
Okay, to midfield. How do you dribble from the box to midfield? Ain't nobody. They just kept dropping back. I'm like, all right, we press. Not every team in the league presses the way we do. But you got to come up and you got to challenge. You can't just let a center back walk a quarter of the field by himself.
And it led to a goal too.
Yes, exactly. That was I think Chupo's second goal.
Yeah,
that's how it started. Cordell passed the ball. Nealis just started walking. He got to midfield, and then he threaded a great pass. And I'm watching this, and I'm like going,
Wiki just threw it to Sosa.
Vanny must be losing his mind. Like, how do you? I'm like, I'd be throwing the clipboard. I love somebody used I guess it was the San Diego manager last week sometime. He got thrown out of a game, and he's going out to talk to the umpire, throws the lineup card, throws his pencil, takes his glasses off, throws them. I mean, the utter frustration that you have to feel if you're on the LA Galaxy bench. You're watching this train wreck, and they can't stop it. They just cannot.
There's nothing they can do about it. I mean, this is the question I sometimes, if you remember that loss and those strings of disappointing results the Red Bulls have up until recently, and I asked the coach, plain and simple, I said, okay, how frustrating it is when you work everything in training and it doesn't exactly translate to what you see on the field or close to it. And, he kind of dismissed it a little bit. I can understand why. But if you're the LA Galaxy coach, you're just 5 months removed from getting another chip. And no one saw this train wreck coming. No one. Okay. And if you asked anybody before the season if they were going to go 0-12 to start 2025, they laugh at your face, right? I mean, they like, yeah, you're out of your mind. You're smoking. I like to have whatever you're smoking. But yet here we are. And I talk to some of the LA fans. They're disgusted. They're flat out disgusted. These are fans that are used to excellence, right? In everything they do. They're used to that type of, they're used to those type of standards. It's just us, the G's, as they like to call them, and everybody else. So, when things ain't working right, they're going to go ape. And you can't blame them for that. I know our fans sometimes have ridiculously high standards, and they should, but you ain't topping LA. I mean, you ain't got we're starving for cups. They got 6 when it's all said and done. Okay. They got 6, they got 6 stars above their crest. We're still working on our first. So be happy with the win, boys and girls, but pump the brakes. on the trophy talk. I'm not saying that they don't have trophies in the trophy case. We got 5 last I count. Shields count, but
2.
Okay,
2.
fine. Have it your way. 2. Okay.
Well, if you're not counting, is it the Emirates Cup? Was that silly tournament we won? We do have a trophy.
I'm not counting that.
Like, you're not counting that nonsense?
No.
All right.
No. It's
And,
an
and,
exhibition.
if we win the Cash Grab Cup, that doesn't count either, right?
Yeah,
maybe.
well, okay, maybe. Okay,
Listen,
so what?
I want to.
Let me ask the question, right? And
get
does
the Open
any
Cup.
of those trophies, right? Let me ask you the question, Mark. Those two trophies you just mentioned, one of them being the Emirates Cup, does that punch your ticket to CONCACAF Champions League? No. Then that's why I'm not. That's why I'm not counting it.
Yeah.
Supporter Shield does, up until recently. Supporter Shield does. Conference, until recently, they took away that spot to conference championship. I was very upset with that. I was like, look, we went all the way up there to winning a conference, and now you take that away because they reformed the Champions Cup. So if you win the East or you win the West, you don't get jack, which is wrong. Straight up wrong.
No,
but
you should as a conference champion.
Yeah, as a conference champion, you should. At least.
And I think League's Cup runner-up, I think, is also included, aren't they?
Yes, League's Cup runner-up.
Yeah, because they've given more validity to the League's Cup than to being an Eastern or Western champion.
Which is wrong.
That's CONCACAF's rules. They make it up as they go along.
They gave the spot to Colorado for that.
Colorado.
Colorado got into the tournament because of their amazing quarterfinal finish in the cup.
Yeah.
Every other team qualified.
Quarterfinal.
Yeah, they made it to the quarterfinals, and since every other team they faced made it to the qualified regularly, LA and Miami and all them, they're like, all right, we'll put Colorado in. But we don't get it for winning the East. No, we had to win. We had to win the cup before we got in.
CONCACAF, ladies and gentlemen, and that's all I got to say. All right, we're going to take ourselves a little break. When we come back, we got 2 games to cover this week, and of course, our special guest Anthony Merced is going to give us all the data behind what's going on with the New York Red Bulls and his latest edition of Red Bulls Download. We're going to see you back here in 30 seconds. Okay, the gentleman on the lower left, he was with me, of course, in the press box before it all went down. And before it got started, I said 1-0. He said 3-0. We were both wrong, but we were both shocked at what we saw on the field. But then again, they did something, Anthony, that they were supposed to do, right? They're supposed to be bad.
No one's supposed to win 7-0.
Sure, why not?
Still counts.
Exactly.
I mean, they handle business.
Okay,
yeah, we handle business all right.
I mean, so what now? Okay, so we got 2 games in front of us and everything else. If you're the Red Bulls at this point, you enjoy this, but you move on. But how significant that we witnessed Saturday? Because forget the Red Bulls for 1 second, Anthony. I saw an LA team that inexplicably threw up a white flag after goal number 3. And I looked to our right? We saw LA fans, and although they were cheering and chanting and everything else, some of these dudes were pissed. They didn't like what they just saw. So if you're LA and if you're Greg Vanney, are you on the hot seat, or are you just going to try to ride this out? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, that's up to the higher ups at the LA Galaxy, but I'll tell you this. They knew this was going to be a difficult year. Obviously, they moved on Joveljic in the offseason to make cap room. The Ricky Puig injured. They should have struggled, but it shouldn't be this bad, I guess, is the best way to look. Yoshida came back not even a third of what he was last year. Marky Delgado leaving was also a big hit for them. So I don't think they realized what they lost in the offseason. Not just Puig, but also just those pieces that left. I wouldn't blame them if Vanny goes, but at the same time, I understand he's playing with house money this year, and maybe they're gonna let him see through a rebuild.
All right, Nick, Mark, he's all yours.
What's up, Anthony?
How's it going?
Another lovely Saturday. All right, we already pointed out that you were telling everybody stop. We're not getting Timo. So
yeah, well,
we sort of all knew it was just, everybody loves to run with the rumor. All right, so it's not a big surprise. I think I commented on your Facebook post. I'm like, duh, like no, we weren't getting him. We knew we weren't getting him.
Well,
We're not spending.
It's not just you're not getting him. It's why do you want him? And that's the real question. Like, where does he fit into this team? He is a winger / striker. You got a ton of those already on this team. And on top of that, he hasn't been informed for a really long time. And this isn't like Choupo-Moting, who wasn't getting minutes, but was producing when he was on the field. This was a case of a guy who's been fighting, getting minutes, and just not winning. I almost compare him to Christian Pulisic in a way that, he goes, well, I won the Champions League. It's like, yeah, you did as a substitute, but is it he's just there? And is that really what the fans want? I mean, do you guys even watch the Bundesliga? Because it's not like he's not this blow-away guy that you think you want.
No, well, that's like I said, but that leads to my question. We mentioned it earlier about Carballo is going to be leaving us at the end of June.
Whoa.
He's on loan, and all the rumors that keep coming out saying he wants to leave.
Where'd you hear that from?
Obviously not you. So that's like I said. So this is what we're hearing. Okay? We're not hearing from you. Here. We're hearing that. Listen, we've heard that he wants to go back home. He can't get onto his national team if he's playing on an MLS team.
Okay,
he desperately wants to get back to his country because he wants to play for his national team. The coach has said, "I won't take you if you're playing for MLS." These are all the things that are being, bantered about. So the question becomes, are we going to keep him? I guess it becomes question number one, because he has a great chemistry with Edelman. What is plan B? What happens if he doesn't?
Before we go to plan B, we still got to go through the
Okay.
He's on loan. Okay. Yes. When you were a player on loan and you're playing well for a team that you moved to because the team that had you before didn't want you, a lot of these rumors, and I'm not saying this is what happened here, I'm just saying this is what happens a lot of times, is your entourage, your agent, your whoever will leak things to the media so that they can boost negotiations quicker. You had a meeting, they said, yeah, we'll get back to you. And you're not happy that they're not getting back to you. So you say something to kind of push either the team you're on or another team to make a big move. The ultimate decision on whether he stays here is down to two groups, Carballo's groups and Grêmio in Brazil. If Grêmio thinks that they can get a fee for him for somewhere else, it's not up to us here at Red Bull. It's not. So if he wants to leave, it's not up to us. The national team thing, be real for a second. I love Carballo. Do you think he is a starter on a World Cup team or even on the substitution ring of the Uruguayan national team?
I wouldn't know. I don't follow their team, so I can't answer.
More than likely not.
No, I'm going to say probably not. But again, since I don't follow them, I don't know who's qualified to step into that
unless
role.
He's going to have a move to, I don't know, pick
His
your big European
Messi,
team.
So, yeah.
It probably isn't going to happen. I mean, if the rosters expand enough, during the World Cup, maybe. But if Red Bull wants him to stay here, and he wants to stay here, he will stay here. in some way, shape, or form. Now, the one thing I will say is I do not believe if he stays, he will be a DP player. I think they will work out with whatever machinations of MLS that they will figure out. I think he'll get paid well, probably even more than he's getting paid right now. But I don't believe he will be taking up a designated player spot. And then what they do with that is anybody's guess at this point.
Well, he's not in a DP slot right now.
Yeah, but he will be if he remains at the salary he's at.
These are just MLS rules. I hate which can't my question for you, Anthony, is going back to actually January when we transferred Van Zier. Was Van Zier's transfer expected? Because when he left a hole that we really haven't really truly solved yet, because it's been a rotating spot.
What?
No. Between Sofo, wait, hold on. Because you had Sofo running in, you had Morgan get hurt. Sofo's been there. Bogarts hasn't been playing yet because he's been on again, off again, hurt. Did they expect a lot from Van Zier to be here this year, or did that all the circumstances?
What position do you think Dante Van Zier played?
Secondary striker.
Left out.
Secondary striker behind Chupo.
Chupo wasn't here last year.
No, this year in January when we transferred him this year.
You couldn't bring Chupo in if Van Zier stayed.
Wait, wasn't he signed?
Dante was a DP.
Yeah, so we still had the open spot.
Yeah, but you don't want to fill. So like, there's Carballo was filling that spot last year, is not now. There's a lot of weirdness around that. Also, let's be real here. Secondary striker, first striker. This guy in 2 years scored less goals than Chupo has already scored this year.
I'm not saying that, but the way the way I looked at it was like he was coming in, and after the playoff season, we're like, oh wait, we got a great result in the playoffs. We got a great couple of games in the playoffs, and we're going forward. Were we keeping him and like rooming the other two guys? So like Sofo, Hall can get steady RB2 time and then work their way forward. Because it looked like to me that we're going to get like both these strikers together and then go forward.
I don't think the plan was ever to keep Dante after last season. I think he got 2 years of subpar performances under different coaches.
Okay. They saw enough. They basically, they saw enough and just said, okay, whatever we were thinking that we were going to get from Van Zier, we're not going to get any more. So off he went.
He was outscored by the backup of the backup, essentially.
That should not happen. I mean, put all that aside. The bottom line is when you see single digits under G in your stat sheet,
he wasn't
that doesn't.
And he hasn't done well at Genk either. Like he hasn't exactly been lighting it up over there as well. So he was they took their chances, much like Patrick Klimala. He got his run, didn't work. They moved on. They finally, for the first time since Bradley Wright Phillips, to be honest at this point, they have a guy who has a very good eye for goal. Now, I know people are going to say Brian White. The truth is Brian White wasn't there yet before we got rid of him. I think if you could go back in time and say, don't get rid of him, I think everyone would say, don't do that. But at the time, Brian White was not the player that he
we kept the GOAT and let Brian White go.
Yeah.
So
exactly, yeah.
And that's the horrible part for you look at Klimala, and when basically a bench player is outscoring you over the course of the season. I mean, Barlow had more goals over the course. It's like how do you pay this guy $umpteen million? I mean, we joke around because Jorgensen was signed, brought in, and he couldn't even score at Red Bull 2. I mean, that was like, and the joke was, we signed him based on his YouTube video collection of goals, from when he was, I guess 12 or 13 or something. It was just, how did we scout these guys?
But he was a project, much like Victor Bogas is. They're projects. When you sign these guys this young, they're not meant to come in and hit the ground running. Van Zier, Choupo-Moting, Patrick Klimala, who is that Brazilian guy? Fabio, Ashley Fletcher. All of these guys were supposed to hit the ground running, and they didn't. And this is the first time since Bradley Wright Phillips, who was not supposed to hit the ground running, but he did, is finally doing what they asked a striker to do, and that is score goals.
No, I mean, it's funny you mentioned Ashley Fletcher. I happened to watch a League One game a couple weeks back, and he was there, and he put 3 over the bar. And I was like, wow, I was like, he did that for us.
Same old, same old.
Yeah, nothing's changed.
Except for one game.
Yeah, one game. That was it.
All right. Let's move on. Of course, Wednesday, because there's a lot of, there's plenty of games, of course, up first for the Red Bulls. If you happen to notice, it will be Wednesday night, of course, at Geodis Park, 8:30 p.m. Nashville. Now, this is they didn't play very much, of all intents and purposes. 3-0-4. That's it. And Nashville, they never lost. 1-0-2. This is their 8th regular meeting. Their last win against Nashville, as you know, was back in October 21st. So this is, we faced these guys in the opener, right, versus Nashville. It was a very tight, tense game, left and right. They won this game, but now this is a return match. So, Nick, tell the good folks what's happened since then, since they came to the friendly confines in Harrison, New Jersey.
Yeah, Nashville had our home opener. They lost 2-0 to us. Goals by Sofo and a great goal by Emil Forsberg to win the game 2-0. Right now, after that, they're right now in 5th place with 20 points, with 6 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws. They're actually scoring this year. They have 22 goals, something that they don't normally do, and they're great at home. They're 5 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw at home. You still have that annoying goalie, Joe Willis, still there. He always has our number for some strange reason. Andy Mukhtar is still there. He's got 5 of the 22. Sam Servage got 6 of the 22. That's half their goals. Mule's still there. He's got a goal and an assist. And Shuffleberg's got 1 goal. And the rest of them are all scattered around. They just thumped Chicago 7-2 a couple games back. Then they traded wins with Charlotte. They lost to Seattle, which was their 1 negative the last month. I think they went out to Seattle and got creamed by them, but 3-0. And they won their Open Cup game this week against Chattanooga. So they're playing as well as many games as we are, and they're in a game crunch as well as we are. They're actually done pretty well. They were in 5th place. They're the usual stuff. But this year they're scoring. You have Mukhtar and Servage. They found that connection. So if you can shut them down, you have a great chance of winning. Zimmerman, their main center back, questionable for the game against us because he's coming back from injury. He may or may not play. He didn't play last week. So that's their breakdown. So you still got the same thing with them. Take away Mukhtar from creating, keep Sam Servage under control. You got a great shot of winning. So,
Mark, when I look at Nashville and I see how the Red Bulls play against them, it's always tight until somehow the second half, and then things open up. But Nick said you got to, if you just take care of Mukhtar and you take care of the things have a chance of winning. However, this is a good opportunity to start climbing up the table with this squad. You agree on that?
Well, I think we need to. I think we need to build on what we've done the last 2 games, and I'm counting the Open Cup game. Our road record. Nick quoted their home record. Our road record sucks. We are 0-2-3 on the road. We still haven't gotten our first win on the road. So why not do it Wednesday night? We're starting to see Chupo score, and the link-up play between him, Forsberg, Sofo's a speed demon, right? We've seen Harper come in, Gengar come in. We've got tools. We've got guys that seem to be working well together finally, and I think that we need to build on that, take it on the road, get the first win. But Nashville, like Nick said, they are a tough team. We have always played them. It's how many 0-0 draws have we played with them? I mean, over the course of our history between the 2 teams. Yeah, it's amazing how well both teams match up against each other. And I think last year I brought a couple of friends out, and We were all sitting together, hanging out, and we watched 3 goals get called back. And we should have won that game 3-0, but the referees had other things in mind, and the game ends in a 0-0 draw because they play well against us. We play well against them, just not well enough to get it in the net. And that's, that if we do what we should be able to do, we play the game that we play, we're going to be able to dictate how this game goes. And I think we showed it in Colorado. Being on the road, chilly, rainy, didn't matter. Our guys took it to them. And that's, I think, one of the things that Sandro has always been not perfect about his lineups, but he always stresses getting going that first 15 minutes. You set the tone for the rest of the game. If you let a team score in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you're spending the rest of the game playing from behind. Yeah, it's a different mindset for the players, different mindset for the coach. And like I said, I think that we have the ability and the skills for these players are starting to come together. We're seeing better quality on the field. There's no reason why we can't go down there and get a win.
Anthony, one question I know you're probably going to ask the coach on, and this goes back on the road record. Now, the fans see this and they think it's a big fat blemish. You and I don't think so. This is just a product of how tough picking up points on the road is in this particular league. This is a league of parity. Anybody can, I'm not saying someone can step up and beat you 7-0, but anybody can beat you in any time. Look what happened to Chicago. Chicago was the favorite, right? And they got kicked in the shins. So here we are, Nashville, okay, against the Red Bulls, who's coming in with a roll. They're on a roll. But what are the things you're going to ask the coach on the media availability? Because this is one of the things the fans see, but Sandro doesn't look too concerned over this. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that there's 2 important things that I'm going to ask him if I get a chance tomorrow. One is how to keep the team level-headed after such a win. There's that old baseball term: you score 10 runs one day and then you don't score any the next. And with this quick turnaround, how do you keep this team hungry and ready to go out there? The other thing is, how does he feel about this rotation? There's a lot of games. You're talking about this will be, so this is going to be 1, 2, 3. You're talking about 5 games in the course of like 9 days, something ridiculous like that. There's a lot of rotation happening here, and it's not going to stop because you've got the NYCFC game, which is a big game. And then you're going to turn around and have to come home to play Dallas in the U.S. Open Cup. It was the only one I was kind of rooting for, AV
so was I.
Or whatever. I was kind of rooting for them so that maybe it'll be an easy one. But they've got a lot of tough games, and so it's really asking him, like, how do you keep this team's eyes on the prize, and how do you keep them fresh? Is it even possible to do that?
Yeah, that's a big question. Speaking of NYCFC, when they're getting done and dusted in Nashville, off to Flushing they go, and of course, is the latest installment of the Hudson River Derby, game 14, match 14, kickoff at 7:30 over in Citi Field in Flushing. Well, excuse me?
4:30.
4:30. One of my guys got that.
Yes,
I believe it's 4:30.
What was that?
I'll double check. Yeah, I think it's 4:30 kickoff on Saturday.
Thanks. 11, 10,
show
and
up
4.
at 7:30. You're not going to see the game.
No, 4, 7, and 2. The gap between these two teams, gentlemen, is closing. But lately, Anthony, NYCFC has been up and down. Their fans are having a fit right now because they did something that normally that they, or at least in their minds, they normally don't do. Lose to a lowly team, if Montreal is that lowly team. But then again, it goes what I said earlier. MLS is a league where even the most lowly team, if you let them, kick you in the nads, okay? But what's been going on with the squad? Because there were a lot of high expectations for City, but they're not quite there yet. Your thoughts on this, as you cover them?
Yeah, so there's obviously the straightforward analysis that even Pascal Janssen said in his, it was either the post-match or there's so many press conferences recently. It was either the post-match on Saturday or the pre-match today. He said they need to get more out of other attacking options. Alonso Martinez is a tremendous goal scorer. They're not able to get much out of anybody else. Look, anybody that watched that Pittsburgh Riverhounds game knows Julian Fernandez missed a sitter in front of an empty net minutes before the game winner. They haven't been able to figure out how to get consistency out of him. Hannes Wolf has been filling the gaps of injuries later, so he's been moving around positions. He hasn't been as advanced as they want. They haven't figured out how to trigger Andres Pereira in the right position as an attacking midfielder or winger yet. And then there's the rotating cast, right? There's Ojeda off the bench who isn't really giving too much. You've got Munsef Bakra, who's essentially the Dante Van Zier of NYCFC. Who, no matter how many chances they give this poor guy, he's sweetest human being in the world, but the guy cannot score goals, like no matter how many opportunities they give him. So they've got that problem. Then they've got a problem of depth in the midfield. Justin Hack is the Swiss Army knife of this team. If they have a gap in defensive midfield, he's there. If they have a gap in center back, he fills in that role as well. He's tremendous at doing that, but they need more there to fill in where he is not, and they don't have that at the moment. Johnny Shore, who's a youngster, is doing a great job. Keaton Parks, we don't know how extensive his injury is. He came off the last game injured. 2 games ago at the Open Cup game injured. So they really have to figure out just what the heck is going on with their lineup. You think you got problems on Red Bull with the lineup? NYCFC is figuring it way worse.
Okay.
They haven't scored this year, which is shocking. Only 13 goals this whole season.
Yeah,
that's it.
If it's not Alonso Martinez, it tends to be no one. I think he's got 5 or 6 goals this year.
He's got 6. Fernandez has 2.
Yeah. So I mean
that's their top scorers. That's just
Yeah.
But I was looking earlier, like I said, a lot of notes. They lost to New England 2-0. They beat Toronto 1-0. They beat Cincinnati 1-0, proving it on any given Saturday. But then to lose 1-0 to the Riverhounds as the only MLS side, to lose to a USL side, and then to follow that up with a stinker against Montreal 1-0. We think we have it bad. They've got it worse. It just there's just no cohesion on their team. Watching the replay from the Pittsburgh game, like you said, unbelievable. How do you miss the ball? That was it was like I think 3 minutes before and that was like that corner was going to be the end of the regulation, and then to score and that's it. I mean, it was like just pandemonium in Pittsburgh. They were just thrilled to death that they beat an MLS side, and if you're City, you just sit there and you shake your head. And how did we let this happen? Is sort of what's got to be going through their head.
Well, when you got a team that's coached by the legendary Bob Lilly, who is a master.
Yes.
Go, Bob Lilly. He's a master at this
since Red Bull 2 came into existence.
Right.
I think he's been there since before 2016.
He was at Rochester first, and then he went to Pittsburgh when Rochester folded.
And every time Pittsburgh would come to MSU, it would be like, oh man, this is going to be a dogfight. He just well-coached team. He's always put a solid team out there. Preston Kilwine, I know, left us at Red Bull and went out there for, I think, 2 years. And I had talked a couple times on socials. Just nothing but praise for Bob Lilly. Just excellent coach, excellent and a teacher. He said the only other person he ever really felt that, he said, was Wally. When he was with Red Bull too. And we saw it time and time again. When a coach is able to, even after a win, coach takes a player and spends 2 minutes explaining to him, this is what you did wrong. Yeah, we won the game, but this is what you did wrong. And you have to not do that again. You have to learn from that. But that's the kind of coach Bob Lilly is. And like I said, if I'm New York City, though, I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what's broken now? How do we right the ship? Because when you start looking at from like 3rd or 4th down, even when you get down to like 12th, 13th in our conference, there's not a lot separating all of us.
No, it's kind of tight.
Yeah,
it's getting tighter.
We got the couple 2-3 like we saw last year, Miami, Cincinnati, and Columbus, and then it's just 4 through 11, 4 through 12, 4 through 13. We're going to be battling it out the whole season. This is sort of where I'm seeing us go.
Yeah,
So,
the month of May is basically 6-point games all the way to
hell yeah. Yeah, it's every game is
a 6-pointer.
LA, but everything else is against the Eastern Conference.
Yep.
And then throw in the Open Cup game, a week from Wednesday.
All right.
It's a lot.
Things to clean up, of course. Gotham FC, they played against probably one of the coolest names I've ever heard in women's soccer, Racing Louisville. 1-0. Miss Flint, Randy Flint, it was a 65-minute, and that's all she wrote. Okay, that ended Gotham FC's nice little run. So what happens at this point? Well, they come home next time. I mean, when you look at the stats, you think there was really not that much going on, but yet here we go. I mean, this sort of thing happens every so once in a while, and so they're going to be Midge Purse made her first start in the 2025 season. That's her first since March 24th last year against Portland, completing 14 of 15 passes. Now, she previously made 5 appearances off the bench since returning from a knee injury. It's going to keep her out for 1 game last year, so she's getting back in, getting basically back into the mix. So
she also, I just want to say real quick, she also made her Broadway debut in Chicago.
Yes, she was on Broadway.
Amazing.
So she's definitely have a career when she's hanging up her boots. Meanwhile, Anthony, I don't blame Anthony for this so much because he did send me to this assignment. Red Bull School 2 had 2 goals off in it, and then it was the Seymour Reed show. He's definitely one of their rising stars, and he just should be showed why he had a hat trick. 7, 64, 68. Elias added it in the next game. When it's all said and done, the New York Red Bulls 2 once again lose at Belson Stadium. What a collapse. It was just a bad night all the way around. I tried to get an interview with Sagage, and he just simply did what they call the get out of Dodge version of it. I mean, I called you on the phone after. I tried to get some sound for the dude, but he was gone. There was nothing more I can do.
Even in wins, he's really hard to get a hold of because he's in there with the kids constantly. Like, he is one of the hardest ones to get a hold of. His priority is those kids. But I do want to say this about NYCFC too, and this has been true for the last few years. One of the difference between Red Bulls and NYCFC is their ability to integrate these players into the first team. We've seen players the last few years in NYCFC too that I am shocked leave at the end of the year and do not make their way into that first team the way they do for a Red Bull 2.
It's almost surprising. It was like, okay, wait a minute. We've seen this guy play when we were at MSU Soccer Park or Close Upstate, and we're like, okay, this guy's going to be in the lineup. This guy's going to be in the lineup. And then when we don't see them, right, we go, okay, what happened? Why did this guy make up either they have really high standards or that baller fell off when he shouldn't have. Gotham FC's next game will be at home versus the San Diego Wave. That game will start at 7:30. It's on Friday, folks, May 16th. New York Red Bulls 2 will be home on Sunday. This is the thing. I get, I get people calling me and say, hey, how come I don't see you in New York Red Bulls 2? Because you play on Sunday. That's why. It's real hard for me to get to MSU Park on Sundays. They would be against New England Revolution 2. There's a theme called Sunday. Kickoff is at 5 p.m. So, Nashville up first for the Red Bulls. NYCFC to follow on Saturday. Nick, Mark, Anthony, what's your predictions? Let's hear it.
I'll go first. I'll be brave. I'm gonna say we're gonna get a 2-1 win in Nashville, and I think we can do 3-1 in that other ballpark in New York.
Which they will be not playing in ballpark not for long, if I'm not mistaken.
No. Well,
we'll
see. We still haven't seen shovels in the ground, so
no, I haven't. No, I haven't. Not yet, anyway. Nick,
talking smack, they're taking deposits, but I ain't seen nothing built yet.
Nick, your go.
For Nashville, the dreaded 1-1 tie, because that's what we do over there. That's what we do.
It is what we do, but
normally 0-0, but I'll say both teams score a goal over there because of the rotations and everything. Smurfs. Ugh, I really hate predicting these games. I'll go with a 2-1 victory.
2-1.
Mm.
Well, Anthony, you and I basically have a good, we got a good record so far in our pregame, except what happened on Saturday. What's your thinking on Wednesday? What's your thinking on Saturday?
Wednesday's going to be a tough one because Nashville and Red Bull seem to negate each other so often. So I think this is going to be a draw on the road, either 1-1 or even 0-0. I do see Red Bull rebounding and rebounding because a draw is not bad on the road. I do see them beating NYCFC at Citi Field, either, like I believe it was Nick said, either 2-1 or even like a 2-0 scoreline. I think the Red Bulls defense is just that good, and I think that their offense is better than City at this moment.
Okay, I'm going to agree with you there, Nick. Anthony, I'm looking at a draw on the road, which is not a bad thing, especially when you're dealing with Nashville. They're just simply too tough at home. Basically, if we can get a goal there, that's great. Holding them to a single goal, that's even better. On the road, I'm thinking big time. I'm thinking basically 3-1. I think the role is going to continue. I think Chupo is now hitting his stride. That partnership between him and Forsberg is the truth. They are linking up beautifully. And it's been a while since you have a player that's in the center mid and let him run loose, which is kind of great. And we're also hearing somewhat that maybe Lewis Morgan will make his way, to the line, but we haven't known yet. We'll get that confirmation with the coach. So that's it. We have tons to talk about within our last hour. Sheesh.
It's going to be a lot of work this month.
It's going to be a lot of work this month. I mean, as always,
matches every week for the rest of the month.
Yep. As always, you can always catch Mr. Anthony Merced and his wonderful website, AJM Sports FC. When he's not dropping dimes here every month, he's over, of course, naturally sitting when you and him and I, you'll be seeing us over in Citi Field when we preview that match. Hopefully we're not sitting next to a couple of knuckleheads like they yell and scream like last time. It's damn near ruining our broadcast, but we'll see what happens from there. Nick Liano, Smart Coach, thanks so much for joining us, you guys. And don't forget, if you happen to miss this game, if you happen to miss this broadcast, don't worry. You can always catch it on demand on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, x.com, and, of course, Spotify.com. All of our episodes are uploaded the very next day. Next week, Lonray, if he's not feeling sick about the scoreline right now, we're not going to mention, not going to ruin it for him, but he'll be making his return, as well as Miguel Nunes. Hopefully, they'll both have something very happy to talk about because you know how he is.
Lonray's over the neckitis.
Huh?
Lonray's over his neckitis.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I did warn him, though, that you're playing the champs. So, I guess he never listens to me. That's
last I checked, they were losing by 12 points.
Well, hey, at least it's not 20 like last time. I mean,
14 right now.
Well, yeah, 14 right now. Yeah,
they have to wait until they're down by 20 to come back. So
he's back to jinx, right?
Yep.
We did want to take that.
We did.
What did he say? Nixon 4. I kind of I wanted to yell at him, but I said, nah. let him figure it out.
We all told him, take it down, stop,
say it,
do this.
Don't do this.
Don't say it.
Don't do this. Don't hurt yourself. Don't hurt your feelings like this. I warned you. I mean, I know my Knicks. They ain't ready yet. Till then, folks, we'll see you next week. Until then, good night. Goodbye.